Hey guys, today we are going to talk about these things called two-way tables. So a two-way table is a frequency table that displays the data collected into two categories. You've kind of seen these two-way tables before. They kind of look like maybe something like this, where they have like certain information up here, and then they have certain information over here, and then they fill in these tables with a bunch of numbers. That is called a two-way table. So every two-way table has this thing called a joint frequency. And what the joint frequency are the entries in the table. So another word for joint frequency are just your values or your numbers in the table. So if it ever says find the joint frequency, you're just looking for all of these numbers inside the table. The marginal frequency are the totals. So the marginal frequencies are the total numbers here, the total numbers here, and then the overall total in the corner. And we'll kind of talk about that coming up. So those are your joint and marginal frequencies. The joint frequencies are just the numbers, and the marginal frequencies are just the totals. Then what you have this thing is called a joint relative frequency and a marginal relative frequency. And what that is, it's just the ratio of the frequencies that is not in the total row or total column to the total number of values. All right, so here's the deal. That's kind of your maybe book definition. The real definition in kind of words is it's your fraction or percent of the value over the total value in each of the inside numbers. And I'll kind of explain to you what that looks like coming up. So your joint relative frequency takes this number and it divides it by the total, and that's what goes inside there. Your marginal relative frequency is the same definition, but it's the ratios of the totals. Now, if that makes no sense to you right now, that is okay. I promise I will explain it when we do an example. This thing called a conditional relative frequency, we aren't going to talk about in this class. All right, so if you flip your page, I'm really sorry, but we're going to do the second page before we do the first. So if you can all go to that back page. All right, here's your first experience making a two-way table. Here we go. We start by looking at what we're talking about. We're talking about a survey that asks 85 students in your school whether they are in math class or chess club. Okay, so here's what we're going to make. We're going to start by making our boxes. So every box has kind of two categories. And one category goes up here, and one category kind of goes over to the side here. So we are talking about chess club. So I'm going to write chess club up here, and they are either in it or out. So yes or no, they are in chess club. And then we are talking about math club. So I'm going to put math club on my side over there, and I'm going to write yes or no, they are in math club. So now what we're going to do is we are going to fill in the pieces. So the first thing it says is that you conduct a survey that asks 85 total students. So that number is going to go down here as my complete total amount of people. Now, 35 of the students are in math club. So if I go to my math club columns, right here, my math club rows, my total number of math club people is 35. 20 of those are in chess club. So of this 35, I know that 20 of them should also be under the yes for chess. Now keep reading. 38 of the students are not in math or chess. So if I go to my no and my no, 38 of them are not in either one. So now what I have to do is I have to figure out all the other values in this two-way table. So I look here. If I have 35 total and 20 of them are yes, 35 minus 20 is 15. Now, if I add 15 and 18, that's my total for this column. So 15 plus 38 is 53. So what you will notice as this adds this way, and this bottom adds this way. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, and if you need your calculator, welcome to use it. 85 is my total. If I go 85 minus 53, that leaves me 32 right here. Now the same thing happens this way. They also add down. So 20 plus what is 32? I put 12 because 32 minus 20 is 12. And now I can add this down 53. I could do this two ways. I could go 85 minus 35 and get 50. Or I could have added 12 plus 38 and got 50. And I just organized my information in a two-way table. Let's try another one. All right, you conduct a survey that asks 286 students in your freshman class whether they play a sport or a musical instrument. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my little table. And these will all kind of look the same. And on your homework, I think I have them drawn in for you. All right, so the first thing I'm looking at, I'm going to do instrument up here. Yes or no. And then I'm going to kind of flip my page and write sport over here and write yes or no. All right, so the first thing I look at is my total number of people is 286. That goes in my corner. That's always my total. 118 of the students play a sport. So I find my sport. I need 118 of my students to say yes. So my yes total is 118. 64 of those 118 play an instrument. So then I find my instrument, and in this row right here, I find my yes instrument and I put 64. 93 do not play a sport or an instrument. So I find my no sport and my no instrument and I put 93. Once I have that information, the rest is just using some calculations to fill it out. So I go 118 minus 64, and I know that this is going to be 54 because these two have to add to be 118. I am then going to go 54 plus 93 because those add down, and I'm going to get 147. Once I do that, I am going to take 286 and subtract my 118 and get 168 because these also add down. I am then going to do 286 minus 147 and get 139 as these add across. And then if I go 139 minus 64, I get 75 as I know those also add down. And just to make sure I'm right, I would take 75 and add 93, and that would give me 168. All right, so now here's the deal. That's my organization into a two-way table. So if you recall over here, we had these marginal relative frequencies that we talked about and joint relative frequencies. So now we have to also organize this with our percentages. So this is what I meant earlier when I said we need to use those percentages or those ratios. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this over again. Okay, so now it's not that hard, but you have to just actually see where we're getting the values. So what you do is instead of putting 64 in here, you put its ratio based on its total. So if I go 64 divided by 286, that decimal is 0.22. Then I go 54 divided by 286, I get 0.19. I'm just rounding to one decimal place. I go 118 divided by 286, and I get 0.41. Now here's the other thing you should notice. 0.22 plus 0.19 equals 0.41. Now I'm going to do my next row. 75 divided by 286, I get 0.26. 93 divided by 286, I get 0.33. And 168 divided by 286, I get 0.59. And if you notice that these two together will equal 0.59. So then on my bottom one, I could go 139 divided by 286 and get 0.49, or I actually could have just kind of added those down. They might be a little off based on your decimals, but it's still fine. I then could have done 147 divided by 286 and gotten 0.51, or added those up and gotten 0.52. And again, it would have been fine if this was 0.48 and 0.52. But then if you add these up and you add those up, you should always get the number 1. All right, let's try one more. First one we're going to do, let's draw our two-way table. Okay, so we are talking about males and jobs. So we're talking about a summer job, and we're talking about kind of male and female. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put job, yes or no. And over here we're going to put gender, and we're going to go male and female. All right, here we go. First thing, 75 males respond. So my total males responding is 75. 18 of them said no. Next line, 57 females respond, so my total females is 57, with 45 of them responding yes. So I find that line and I put 45 in my yes. Now we just have to get all of our values. So the first thing I'm going to do, lots of ways of doing this, I'm going to add 75 and 57 and get my total to be 132. Then I'm going to go 75 minus 18 to get 57. Then I'm going to go 57 minus 45 and get 12. And I'm going to add 57 and 45 and get 102. I'm going to add 18 and 12 and get 30. And if I'm right, these two together should equal 132. Now, next part, we are also going to include the marginal ones. So I'm going to redraw this. All right, and now I'm going to get my percents. So all I do is take this and I do 57 divided by 132 and I get 0.43. So that's going to be my decimal here. Then I go 18 divided by 132, I get 0.14. I think it's easier just to add those two together and get 0.57. 45 divided by 132, I get 0.34. 12 divided by 132, I get 0.09. I add those together, I get 0.43. And I know I'm right so far because those add to be the number 1. I'm then going to add those two together and get 0.77. Add those two together, get 0.23, and those also add to 1. All right, if you flip your page back, the last thing we're going to do is answer questions. All right, every time you have a thing that says you must answer questions, the first thing you must do is get your totals. So I'm going to add 98 and 132 and get 230. 120 and 88 and get 208. I'm going to add 98 and 120 and I'm going to get 218. And I'm going to add 132 and 88 and I'm going to get 220. If I'm right, my total in this corner should work. So 230 plus 208 gives me 438 and 218 plus 220 also gives me 438. So I first get my totals. All right, here's how you do the questions. We are talking about high school students surveyed about their future plans. Of the males surveyed, so the number of people they are talking about in the problem goes on the bottom. So of the males surveyed, here's my total males. So of the 230 males surveyed, how many of them attended college? So I find my total males, put that on the bottom, and I find the number that attended college, I put that on the top. So then I go 98 divided by 230, and then I convert that to a decimal, to a percent with one decimal place. So the way I get the percent is I go over to the right 2, 1, 2, and that becomes 42.6%. Let's try another one. What percent of the people surveyed? So now I'm surveying all the people, which is 438, did not attend college. So I find all of the people that did not attend college. So my total number of people that did not attend college is right here. All my no's. So once I find those numbers, I divide. And I get, move it over twice, 50.2%. And then my next question, what percent of the people surveyed? So again, I have the total number of people surveyed plan on attending college. So now my total is 438, but I know that 218 of them plan on attending college. So now when I divide those two, I get 49.8, round up because of that next 7. So I have 49.8%. Let's try another one. We're talking about people that live in Chicago and they own a car. So the first thing I'm going to do is fill out my table. So 54 plus 136 is 190. 45 plus 137 is 182. 54 plus 45, I get 99. 136 and 137, I get 273. So if I'm right, my two numbers should both equal that corner. And they do. All right, let's start by our questions. It says, what percent of people surveyed, so my total number of people surveyed is 372, do not own a car. So I find my cars, and I know that 273 people do not own a car. So then I'm going to take and I'm going to divide those two. I move my decimal place over 2 places, and I get 73.4%. Okay, next question. Of the females surveyed, so I find my total females, which is 182. What percent own a car? So of those 182, 45 own a car. So I'm going to take and go 45 divided by 182. Move it over twice, and I'm going to get 24.7%. Then my last one, what percent of people who own a car? So I find my owns cars. Looks like 99 people own a car, and 54 of them were male. So I take and I go 54 divided by 99, and I get 54.5%. All right, last one. Here we go. First thing I'm going to do is fill it in. 96 plus 80, I get 176. 54 plus 88, I get 142. I go 96 plus 54, I get 150. 80 plus 88, I get 168. And if I'm right, my totals will match. I add my first one. I add my second one. They both equal 318. All right, first question. What percent of people surveyed? So I know that there were 318 people surveyed. It says, were males and did not read Catcher in the Rye. So now I need my males and the people that did not read Catcher in the Rye. So it looks like there were 80 people that were male and did not read Catcher in the Rye. So I'm going to take 80 and divide it by 318, and I'm going to get 25.2%. Next question, what percent of the people who read Catcher in the Rye, so my total number of people who actually read the book are 150, and then females were 54. So I'm going to take 54 and divide it by 150. I get 0.36, which is 36%. And then my last one, what percent of the people surveyed, so there were 318 total people, actually read the book. So my total people that read the book were 150. So I take 150, divide it by 318, and I get 47.2%. So now, when we're doing the homework on this, I just kind of want to go through it real quickly with you. So in this problem, you're just giving me some number values. That's pretty easy. This, you're adding in the totals here and here, and here and here, and you're trying to answer these questions on this part. This, you're just filling in the two-way table down here. So you have some of the numbers, and you just got to fill them in. If you flip your page, over here, we're going to kind of take a look, and we're going to put all of these values in together so we're all the same. So if you guys can fill this in on your homework with me, then our tables will all look the same. So I'm going to try and help you as much as I can. So up here, I would like you to write the word Spanish, yes and no. Along the side, I would like you to write the word French, yes and no. So this will hopefully help you when you fill out your two-way table. So you're going to fill in all the pieces and the outside. Same thing here. I'd like you to write down cars, new and used. And along the side, I want you to write down the kind of car. And I'd like you to write down foreign and domestic. Okay? And the next two, these two, you are going to find the totals for me, and then you are going to copy it over, and you are going to use your marginal frequencies on here, which means these are going to be those decimals. So both of these are going to be decimals. So find your totals, and then fill this in with decimals. And then on the last page, you're just answering all these questions. So make sure you give me your fraction and your percent. Hope you guys have a great day.